From a young performer in Jamaica to an international reggae superstar, Jimmy Cliff's journey is nothing short of legendary. But what drives a man to explore the depths of spirituality, endure imprisonment in Nigeria, and rise to become one of reggae's greatest ambassadors? Join us as we uncover the incredible story of Jimmy Cliff, a musical pioneer whose voice and vision transformed reggae music forever. James Chambers, better known as Jimmy Cliff. Born on April 1, 1948, in St. Catherine, Jamaica, Cliff demonstrated his talents as a performer from an early age. At just 14 years old, he moved to Kingston, adopting the surname Cliff to symbolize the great heights he intended to reach. Once in Kingston, Cliff recorded 2 singles that didn't gain much traction until he met Leslie Kong, the founder of Beverly's record label. On Kong's label, Cliff released the hit Hurricane Hattie in 1962, along with many other recordings throughout the 1960s. In the late 1960s, Cliff moved to the United Kingdom at the invitation of Island Records, though he continued to work closely with Kong. The songs he released during this period played a significant role in the development of ska in both Jamaica and England. Cliff's song Waterfall won the Brazilian International Song Festival in 1967, leading him to move to Brazil, where his music was well received. Following Waterfall, he released the protest song Vietnam. In 1970, Cliff achieved further success with his cover of Cat Stevens' song Wild World. However, his string of hits seemed to slow down after the release of his album Another Circle in 1971. He returned to Jamaica and parted ways with Island Records as the label began to focus more on Bob Marley. During this period, Jimmy Cliff embraced the Muslim faith and adopted the name Naeem Bashir. However, he insists that his spiritual journey was not about religious conversions. Reflecting on his upbringing, Cliff explained that he was raised as a Christian and felt obligated to follow that path. However, he found that Christianity did not provide the answers he sought. "I studied Islam for a while, but still didn't find the truth," he shared. "It didn't satisfy my soul." Cliff then traveled to India, lived in an ashram for a time, and studied Hinduism. He also explored Buddhism through his own research, referring to these spiritual explorations as conversion schools. As part of the Black Power movement, which gained momentum from the early 1960s through the 1970s, thanks in part to Malcolm X's efforts, Cliff also pursued an education in Egypt. A visit to the ancient nation years later deepened Jimmy Cliff's understanding of both religion and science. "I found everything there," he shared with the Weekend Star newspaper, "all the knowledge, whether it was religious, scientific, related to music, or philosophy. I discovered the root of where it all originates." So much information is preserved in ancient Egypt. Jimmy Cliff has always expressed that his greatest contentment and happiness are found in Africa, his spiritual motherland. He emphasized that this joy isn't tied to any single country within the continent. Rather, he finds fulfillment wherever he travels in Africa. "There's no particular area, even though I have some land in Liberia, where Marcus Garvey once envisioned relocating black people. I love it there, but I also love other places, like Sierra Leone, East Africa, and Southern Africa. I simply love being in Africa. I adore the atmosphere," Cliff shared with The Guardian. Jimmy Cliff, often hailed as reggae's first international star and regarded as the genre's greatest living ambassador, has penned several songs dedicated to Africa, including War Africa and Meeting in Africa. In a 2012 interview with Reggaeville, Cliff recounted his experiences in Africa, noting that despite a challenging first visit to Nigeria, his first time on the continent, he still holds the country in high regard. During his 1974 visit to Lagos, Nigeria, Cliff was arrested at the behest of a disgruntled promoter after arriving to perform and spent 3 days in jail. This incident inspired his song The News. Reflecting on the experience, Jimmy told the Arts Desk in 2012, "My first trip to Africa was Nigeria. It was bittersweet, sweet because of the thousands of people at the airport waiting for me. I'd never experienced such adulation before. I'd only seen it happen to the Beatles, so to receive that kind of welcome was incredible. The streets were lined from the airport to the hotel. It was amazing. However, the bitter part came when he was unjustly thrown into jail. A man came and claimed he was supposed to bring Jimmy Cliff to Africa. The man claimed had a contract with Jimmy in London, and Jimmy didn't show up, so the man filed a civil suit against Jimmy Cliff, and Jimmy Cliff was jailed for 3 nights. But when Jimmy Cliff went to court, there was no evidence, so they dismissed the case. Jimmy Cliff stated that Nigeria was a tough place, but he didn't mind, he liked the energy. Jimmy Cliff's trailblazing career is marked by numerous accolades. He was the first Jamaican solo artist to win a Grammy Award in 1986, a year after Black Uhuru took home the first ever reggae Grammy for their album Anthem. Cliff, a 7-time Grammy nominee, won Best Reggae Recording in 1986 for his internationally acclaimed album Cliffhanger, and again in 2013 for Best Reggae Album with Rebirth. Cliffhanger features 10 tracks, including some of his most beloved hits such as Hitting with Music, Brown Eyes, and Hot Shot. In recognition of his outstanding contributions to Jamaica's film and music industry, Jimmy Cliff was awarded the Order of Merit, Jamaica's third highest honor. He played a pivotal role in introducing Jamaican music to a global audience, a feat largely achieved through his lead role in the landmark film The Harder They Come, directed by Perry Henzell and filmed in Jamaica in 1972. Additionally, in 2010, Jimmy was officially inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and in 2019, the Jamaican government honored him by renaming Gloucester Avenue in Montego Bay, famously known as the Hip Strip, to Jimmy Cliff Boulevard. Jimmy Cliff's impact on reggae and the world of music is undeniable, but his story is one of resilience, exploration, and a relentless pursuit of truth. Whether through his unforgettable songs or his unwavering connection to Africa, Cliff's legacy continues to inspire. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the life of a reggae legend, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more captivating stories of musical icons. Until next time, keep the rhythm alive.